Welcome to a tutorial on how I use this resource with my students. So I'll share any tips and tricks that work for me, but of course do feel free to modify as you see fit for your own students. So before I delve into the activity itself, I do want to talk a little bit about the background or the thinking behind this activity. So the big goal of this activity is to help students use the language of what if to imagine and talk about the outcome or the impact of the decisions that we all make. And wondering and understanding the language of what if is actually a really complex thing to do because you have to understand the language itself and also be able to make predictions. And then when it comes to social situations involving other people, you'll have to understand perspectives. So I found this resource to be helpful with a pretty specific group of students and actually made this for that particular group. But mostly, these are students who have pretty strong language skills. So they understand basic cause and effect, like this happens and then it leads to this, or this happened because of this. But they tend to be pretty self directed and sometimes even a little impulsive. And they're not yet used to thinking about, like, but what if I did this? What's going to happen? And as a result of that, they tend to do things that make others or even themselves uncomfortable. So by practicing what ifs, the idea is to give them the language to talk or even think through situations to help them avoid these uncomfortable outcomes. Okay. So with all that, this deck includes 9 scenarios, some social and some actually sensory-based scenarios, and they're actually drawn from real examples from my students. So hopefully they are familiar to your students as well. As usual, there is this playable instructions with all the explanations that you can also click through. But I'll go through all of that, so let me skip it. So first on this page, you're going to pick a situation or scenario that you want to work with. So let's pick the glue. And here you have an option to have this part read. It goes like, I like purple glue. What if? This is totally optional. And then you get to pick, you're going to invite them to think, so what's going to happen if she did that? So what if I spread, 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 and spread? Or what if I just spread just enough? Okay, and the actual goal of this activity is not finding what's correct or incorrect. More importantly, it's really not so much being right or wrong, but thinking through the situations. So make sure that they don't get all caught up on finding the right answers. So you can start with either one. So what if she likes purple glue? What if she just spreads just enough? What's going to happen? All nice and clean. So it's all going to be fine. Again, you can click here to have it read. And even if the first answer is correct, make sure you go back to try the other idea because, again, we want them to think through what's going to happen next. So I like purple glue. What if I spread, spread, and spread? What's going to happen? What if she does that? And then click. And you'll hear the whoops indicating that it's not the right answer. But again, this is a whoops outcome. And on the unfavorable outcome, you do have these 3 choices. You're going to invite them to think about, why is this not a good idea? Is it because it's not safe? Or it could bother me? Or it could bother other people? And this one obviously is, it could bother me because it's not going to bother other people. So there is one right answer among all these 3, but what I also want to emphasize is that sometimes you have more than one possible answer. So be open to that and have a discussion about it. Okay. So if you end up picking this one first, things don't work out well, then invite them to let's fix it. And this takes you back to here. And now you have a big red cross out and the green circle around it. So again, discuss, okay, this one went to a better outcome and this one went to an uncomfortable outcome. That's all there is to these symbols. And then this little waffle takes you back to the choice page again. Let's look at another one, the sitting one. So sitting like this is uncomfortable. What if? So she has a choice of putting the feet up on the table, or she can think, oh, feet don't go on the table, and she wants to, but she won't, or I want to, but I won't, and stop. So what you can do, sorry, the other way. Let's say she picked this one first. I put my feet up on the table. Whoops. And here it says other people might think it's dirty and gross. One thing to note is that throughout the deck, you'll see the words like might or could, because these outcomes are really never absolute. It's not always going to happen, but there's a high chance that it does. So that's why the language of might and could are used. And also, again, if the gross word isn't something you want to use in your lesson, feel free to replace it. Okay. Again, it's not safe. It could bother me. It could bother other people. If it's gross, it can bother other people, but it equally could be unsafe. So discuss that with your group if that comes up. So let's fix it. And here's where you go. I won't put my feet up. So this is what's going to happen with the sensory-based things. A lot of times it's if you don't do it, nothing's going to happen. It's not going to bother anybody, and you will have a chance to discuss then what can I do? So discuss some alternatives as appropriate. And it gives you some ideas. In this case, you can ask to move about a bit, and it invites the students to come up with any other ideas. So it just opens up a little more discussion with this. I guess that is all I have to say about this. As always, please use it as creatively as you like. And I hope and your students get some fun predicting out of this. Have fun.